What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Regrowth. Oh yeah, guys. So after last episode, guys, I've spent a whole lot of time doing stuff here. See above me? Whoop, wrong button. See above me? Yeah, we got these little areas filled in with the stone bricks. Yep, these are all the areas that will eventually be our big farms. I don't have all of the soil for these things yet, so we... Yeah, these things are not full of soil. They're not ready to be planted. We don't have the farm blocks in, but the outline for where they are going to be is all done. So that was one of the things I did. I also got our Certus quartz seeds planted. Yeah, we've been collecting a lot of the Certus quartz dust. We need to take this with us. What we're going to be doing today... Oh man, that's a lot of Certus quartz. That's more than I thought we were going to have. Yeah, what we're going to be doing today is I would like to work towards getting ourselves the ME controller. Yes. It is time that we move on from the current storage system that we are using, which is just large chests, basically. Move on from those and start working towards getting a real, automation, digital storage kind of a thing going on. I also have this tin essence going. I'm thinking I should probably turn that off. I don't know if we need that much tin. Maybe I'll just leave it for a while. We can throw away the essence if we have too much, or figure out what we're gonna do with it later. But yeah, I've been planting some seeds and just letting it automatic harvest things that we need over here. So we still got like the two sides going with the coal, and then we have quartz seeds in this middle section here, and then we have the tin seeds in this middle section over here. Yeah, everything else is coal right now. So yeah, guys, I started laying out the rest of the garden soil that we have that we need to grow our agricraft, or I guess magical crops on. So I started filling out one of these other large farms, and this is all we had remaining. Yeah, I've been taking all of the extra seeds that we had from breeding and composting those, and I even took some of like the extra potion petal things that we had, and I composted that. But anyway, yeah, with all that, we were able to make all of the garden soil over there on that medium-sized farm, and then whatever's left over is right here. It's not a whole lot, is it? We're gonna need probably 3, 4, 5 times the amount of garden soil we currently have to fill out the rest of these farms, right? Well, yeah, definitely a whole lot. We might even look at growing crops specifically to compost the results of those crops, so we can make the compost and mix it with the soil, whatever, to make this garden soil. We might look at doing that sometime soon. It's something we're gonna have to do, really, if we want to fill out the rest of these farms, that is. I don't think we're gonna be doing much more breeding, so growing crops specifically to compost is definitely a thing that's gonna have to happen. This composter takes a while to compost through the materials, so we're probably gonna end up having to make a lot more compost bins. Anyway, those are things we'll work on in the future sometime. So like I said, I wanted to start working towards the Applied Energistics, the ME controller today. There's a lot of stuff that we need to do to get this going. Yeah, I was kind of looking through the different recipes and stuff like that for the ME controller. So for making one of these, we're going to need pure flux crystals. Yeah. In order to get that, we're probably going to need the crystal growth accelerators. And in order to power the crystal growth accelerators, we're going to need an energy acceptor. So that's one rabbit hole kind of a thing we got to do. Skystone block. Yeah, we're going to need that. That comes from Skystone, which comes from the Elven trade. We have to put in living rock through the Botania Elven portal in order to get Skystone. So that's another thing we're going to have to look at. That's not so bad, but it is something that we're going to have to do. Right? Okay, and then the other thing that we needed is the ME controller requires this engineering processor, which, doesn't seem that bad, right? Click on it. In the inscriber, we need to put in the printed engineering circuit, a diamond chipset, and printed silicon. So we also got to figure out how to get these presses and all of this stuff. So those are things we will be looking at today. Another thing that I've done off camera before we get into that, I kind of laid out these machines in this room. I can't remember if I showed all this stuff or not. But yeah, these are all of our different machines. They all have the upgrades in them now. All 8 of 8. Yep, and they are being powered by this basic universal cable. It's running back behind. I'm not sure if this room is going to stay here or if we're going to end up moving these machines upstairs, like all the way upstairs. Like this room might go away as well. And we might set up our machines up here on this top level and then start using the space around here instead of digging underground. Anyway, those are things that I'm thinking about. But anyway, yeah, I've got this set up down here. We got our 3 little lasers here, our integration table and our laser table, assembly table over there. Down here, yeah, put in a little bit more work. We got our steam boiler, which is now fully heated up. Yep. And then we got our steam engines over here. We got 6 of them. On the other side, we have 6 more. So we have a total of 12 of these industrial steam engines making 80 RF per tick. Yeah, running off our high pressure steam boiler here. It's being connected through the back through this one little connection. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, and that's providing the steam for all of these guys. So we are making a decent amount of power now. And if it comes to a point where we need to make more power, we can always add in another steam boiler, make this room a little bit longer. Yeah, and put in a few more of these steam engines. I guess they could go up here too. We could have like 12 on one side and 12 on the other. That'd be another possibility of doing that. I also have levers here so I can turn these on and off should I choose to. I don't know if we're ever going to need to turn them off or on, but yeah, that lever's there on both sides so we can turn off half or all of them if we need to. So anyway, this chest right here is how we are currently feeding our steam boiler. Yeah, so running out these blocks of coal. Yep. Through the hopper right inside. So that's how that's all working. And then I also have the power wire running underneath here. And that is connecting to our pump. And that is providing, yeah, the steam boiler with water. All right, so we've already seen a lot of this from last time, but I did make some changes. I want to show you guys how those changes are made. And I made a lot of steel so I can make a lot of those engines, and we beefed up our power significantly, so we shouldn't have to worry about power for a while. But I don't know. We might end up having to make ourselves like a battery of some kind. Yeah, we have the mechanism power storage. Like it had us make one of these, whatever these are, the basic energy cube. It wanted us to make like an ultimate at some point. So we might look at making some of those to store power here. So we're running off battery power instead of straight off the engines. But anyway, let's start working towards getting ourselves the applied energistic stuff. All right, guys, well, let's start with the engineering processor. All right. So in order to get one of these things, we're going to need a diamond chipset. So let's start working on this. We can get this going while we're doing other things. So we need redstone plus a diamond to make one of those. We so happen to have a bunch of diamonds here. We'll go ahead and make 9 of these. We'll just get these cooking up because I imagine we're going to need more than one at some point in the future. Now, I don't know how much RF this is going to take and how long this is going to take, but let's tell it to make this. So we got those lasers, they're cooking up, they're turning blue. And that is going really slow. Maybe what we should look at doing is making a few more lasers. That might be a good idea, a good next step. We can go ahead and remove some of this. We can make like 6 more lasers or something like that. That might be a good idea. So how do we make those lasers? The lasers are made. Ooh, okay, so we have to do Rune of Wrath. So diamonds plus Rune of Earth and Winter. Okay. Well, we might end up having to grow some more diamond plants. I don't know if we have. Yeah, and we're also going to need mana steel for the mana lens. You know what? Actually, I think, if I remember right, I think I made up some extra of those mana lenses. Yeah, we have some of those. So we don't have to worry about that portion of this. Rune of Wrath. So we're going to need 12 diamonds, I think. Okay, so maybe we have enough diamonds right now to get going on this. Let's just go ahead and break apart a couple more of those blocks, but we are starting to run low, so that's just something we're just gonna have to keep in mind. All right, so we got 12 diamonds. Oh, and then we're gonna need an additional 6 more. All right, so we need to take all of those with us. All right, so, and then we need titanium ingots. Do we have enough titanium? We're missing 1. All right, well, I'll figure that out. I think we have some impure titanium in here, and we'll have to get some of the rutile ore and do that whole process, I think, to get the magnesium and all of that. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just do some runic altar crafting here and make a bunch of these mana diamonds. We need Rune of Earth and Rune of Winter. Earth and Winter. Earth. We get these back, too, from this recipe. And Winter. Cool. All right, well, let me go ahead and get that cooked up. I'll make those extra lasers, and hopefully we'll be able to make the diamond chipsets that much faster. And we'll move on to the next portion of this process. Alright guys, well I got 5 of the lasers made, and then I was getting to the point where I was going to make the magnesium for the titanium to mix with the brutile ore and all this stuff. Anyway, so I got this going right here. I made some of the smooth limestone, letting it heat up. We need to get this to like 825, but I ain't got time to let this thing heat up. So I'll just let this thing happen automatically. I was going to get this thing going using the basic mechanical pipe here. I was just going to push some liquid into it like so. The problem is when I get fluid in a pipe like this, the game starts feeling jittery. Like I'm losing frames for some reason. I don't know why. I get the same thing when I pour from like the smeltery, for instance, into a casting basin or into an ingot mold or something. It seems like whenever the game renders fluids, that things start getting a little jerky. I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, I will worry about this another time. If I get the fluid out of that pipe so it's not rendered there anymore, everything feels way smoother. So yeah, there's definitely something weird. And I've noticed that for a while. But yeah, that was just happening to me a moment ago. Like I set that up and I didn't realize what was going on. I was like, why is everything all weird and jerky feeling? Yeah, just because that pipe was full of fluid. So weird. So anyway, I made the additional lasers. I made a few additional lasers anyway. I was going to stick another one right here, but yeah, we're still waiting on the titanium. So we got all 8 of those diamond chipsets made now, so that's pretty awesome. Okay, so the next part of this process, we need, I think, well, let's see. So we made the lasers. So we need to make this engineering processor. So we need the printed engineering circuit. Diamond electron tubes in the inscriber is how you make this thing. So we need to set up the forestry machine, the thermionic fabricator. All right, well, I'm pretty sure, didn't we have one of those before? I'm pretty sure we've made tubes for different things. Like we had to set up tubes for the farm over there. Maybe I took the machine down and I set it over here. I haven't even looked for this thing yet. Thermionic fabricator. It's a weight machine. I should be seeing it. I'm not. Let's search for it. It's right there. Okay, so we got the thermionic fabricator here. We need to provide this a little bit of power, or I guess I could just kind of stick it in the corner downstairs. We're also gonna need some glass or some sand. Let's just steal some glass. That should be fine. We're gonna need some redstone and I guess diamonds, right? Let me just go ahead and double check here. So 5 diamonds will make 4 of these. I'm not sure. Should we do 8? Maybe a total of 8 of those. So we're going to need 10 diamonds. Man, there goes our diamond supply. We're going to have to grow some more of these things sooner or later. Probably sooner as opposed to later. So we can take this thing. Yeah, I guess we could stick it right here. That should be fine. If we tell this to output energy on the top side, this thing will start getting power. I'll put some glass in here. We have to set a recipe. I found out this thing doesn't actually expend any power until you give it a recipe. And there we go. There's all the stuff we need now. I think 1 piece of glass does 2 recipes worth. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's like half a thing of glass does 1 recipe. So yeah, there we go. 500 remaining. There is our tubes. There's our other ones. Okay, cool. So we got that done. We can go ahead and remove this machine for now. We don't want to see there sucking power all of the time. And we'll put this away. We'll find a permanent spot for all these machines a little bit later. All right, so we do have the diamond electron tubes. Now we need to get an inscriber. We also need an inscriber engineering press. And you get that from a chisel with a calculation. We get the calculation from a chisel with the silicon, and we get that from a chisel with an iron plate. Okay, so that's another thing we need to look at. Let's get ourselves an iron plate. Actually, we're probably gonna need 4 of those, right? And chisel, chisel, chisel. All right, so diamond chisel. I know that's different than what the recipe said. Yeah, that doesn't appear to work. Nah, that's not gonna work. Okay, so we need to make ourselves one of the iron chisels. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. So iron chisel is just a stick and an iron ingot, right? No. All right. Chisel. What's this thing called? That one, it's just called chisel is what it is. Oh, it's a stick plus flint, because that makes sense. Stick plus flint. Okay. We need to get ourselves a piece of flint. I think I stuck it all over here. Why do I not see flint? Oh, it's right up at the top. Okay. So stick plus flint equals a chisel. Chisel plus an iron plate equals, there we go. So there is an inscriber silicon, inscriber calculation, inscriber engineering, inscriber logic. All right, so let's go ahead and make up one of each of those. Engineering, calculation, and silicon. Cool, so we got all 4 of those presses. And now we have a chisel that we're probably never going to use because we have a diamond one. Okay, so we got that taken care of. So the next bit of this. So we have the thing. We need to make ourselves an inscriber. I think that's the next bit of this, right? Okay, so how do we make an inscriber? That is made. Okay, so we need flux plus 2 sticky pistons, some iron. All right, that's not so bad. Now I can't remember. Is it the inscriber that needs ME power, or is it, can you run this off RF? I can't remember. Anyway, let me go ahead and make this up real quick. Yeah, we can make sticky pistons pretty easily, I do believe. We do have slime essence, so we should be able to get the slime balls for that. In fact, I think I had some pistons already pre-made. Anyway, let me go ahead and do this up real quick. I think we can just do this together. Actually, we have everything together already made. We just need the 5 iron now. All right, so inscriber. Oh, you know what? We have to make... Yeah, you know what? That's another thing. The flux crystals. I forget about this. In order to make the flux, we need the charged Certus quartz. So we can't even make this thing just yet because we don't have any charge. We can grow the regular. We're going to need a charger. So a charger, I think this is what uses RF. This uses the EU power, or not EU, I'm sorry, the ME power, AE power. The charger, oh, look at this recipe. Okay, so we're going down the rabbit hole even more. Refined steel and osmium. Do we have refined steel? I think we might. Let's just double check real quick. Seared brick, burnt brick. Let's just search for it. Do we have any refined steel? If not, I'm going to have to take some steel and smelt it again through the blast furnace. I'm not seeing any refined steel in here, unless I spelled that incorrectly. Okay, so we're going to need to make some refined steel. That's one thing. So then we also need to make these other circuits. Elite control circuit. Oh man, that's golden chipsets. Okay, so we have lasers under control right now. Reinforced alloy, so that's an enriched alloy, so that's iron plus redstone, and then that alloy plus diamond. Ooh, we might have to start growing those diamonds now. I'm probably gonna have to go do that. Some basic circuits. We're gonna need an enhanced circuit board. So that's bronze and redstone and a carpenter with iron chipsets. Okay, so we're gonna need to make a lot of these chipsets. All right, so the advanced control circuit, iron chipsets, enriched alloy, basic control, enhanced circuit. Okay, so I got some things I need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and start taking care of a lot of this stuff. Yeah, you think it's gonna be easy. You're like, oh, that's not so bad. We'll just make some of this and this and this. And then it's like, oh, we need this machine and oh, this recipe. So anyway, let me go ahead and get some of this stuff knocked out, guys, and we will be right back. Oh my goodness, guys, that was a lot of crafting. Yeah, I had to set up the carpenter over here. I had to get some water going into this thing. I made up 8 of the refined circuit boards and 8 of the enhanced circuit boards. But I've used a few of those in the crafting. I also cooked up, I think 16 golden chipsets, 16 iron chipsets. So those are the remaining bits that we have, some of that. I made up half a stack of refined steel. I made like 16 of these enriched alloys. Yeah, lots of different things that I ended up doing. Then we had like 10 of these basic control circuits kind of sitting around. So that's the result of, or that's what's left over of all the stuff from the result of us crafting. So I made us the charger, and this is sitting here getting power from our basic universal cable. On the side, I used a wrench. You can just turn this thing like so, using a wrench to turn it so it can be powered from the top or the bottom. But yeah, we have it on the side. So we can use a hopper to drop in Certus quartz crystals to the top in here. And then we're using a hopper on the bottom that's pulling out the charged Certus quartz crystal. You don't have to worry about filtering it or anything like that. The hopper below only pulls out the charged version. So yeah, that's really awesome. So 2 hoppers, a charger, and then some power. All you need to make automated charged Certus quartz. Cool. So we'll just let this thing go. We need that charge, like I said, to make flux stuff. We need a bunch of this flux. So we need 1 charged Certus quartz plus 1 nether quartz plus redstone dust. We should probably grab like, whoop, didn't mean to grab that. Is that charge? No, that's regular. Should probably grab like 30, 32. Let's do like half a stack, right? I'll just leave the rest of them in there. We'll do 32 of that, 32 quartz, 32 redstone. Seems like a good number to do. We will make ourselves some of the flux, and then from there we can turn that into the pure stuff. So as far as nether quartz, we have some of this. We can also make this nether quartz, I think, from the nether essence. I can't remember now. Yeah. So essence of nether turns into this stuff. So we have plenty of the, I think we had some more of this stuff in here. So yeah, we can go ahead and make more of this nether quartz whenever we need to. That's also something we're going to want on auto craft, or not really auto craft, but planted over there to be automatically harvested at some point in the future. Okay, so we have all of these things. We need to drop them into water to make the magic happen. I'm trying to think, where's a good spot that we can do that? We don't really have a spot where we got water just kind of like hanging out for us to make a little puddle out of, do we? Oh yeah, I'm also melting up a bunch of quicklime here and storing it into fluid tanks. Looks like those are almost full. I'll have to take care of that in a moment. So I'm looking around, trying to figure out what I want to do here. I guess we'll just grab some of the stone brick. We just need to make a little container, a little 1x1 to drop these things into. All right, just grab a bucket of water from here, do this. Yep, and we will just do half a stack, half a stack, half a stack, and they'll bubble and boil. So we need to take these and grind them up and then mix them with sand, I do believe, in order to make the seed. Yeah, we need to make the flux seed. Yeah, so we grind this into the flux dust, either with a grindstone or the crusher, many different ways. We'll just use a crusher since we have that. Then we mix that with sand, so we should end up with 2 stacks of these when we're all said and done. Do we even need to do that? No, we could just use it right like this, but we can also use the pure version. So it's a little bit cheaper doing it this way, so we might just do it that way. Let us grab, I think 2 of that, 2 of this. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. We need 4 of each one of these. All right, so there is 4 essence of earth, 4 essence of fire. There's sand. Yeah, so all we need to do is just grind these up. Oh, actually, you know, before I do that, before I do this, I'm not sure. See, we need to make the inscriber, right? Yeah, that's going to require this. But in order to grow those up, we're probably going to want the crystal growth accelerator. We're going to want these. Do I need the regular flux? Okay, so we're going to need these blocks. All right, guys. Well, I just went through all the different recipes here. And yeah, a little under half a stack of the flux is what I used to make our crystal growth accelerator, energy acceptor, and then some of these ME glass cables. I probably could have made just a little bit less of the ME glass cables, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, it kind of makes sense to use the pure or the regular flux to make these items, and then instead of making the pure flux and then having to wait for forever for them to grow up, or I guess the flux seeds. So we can go ahead and take those together. There we go, a little over a stack of the flux seeds, and then we have these crystal growth accelerators now, which is pretty awesome. So we need to hook these things up so we can grow them up. So we're just gonna go ahead and connect this right here, the energy acceptor. And I think what we're gonna end up doing, let us place some cables down. Yeah, this is all gonna have to be moved at some point or another. But for right now, I think this will get us by. So I think something like that should work. We'll place these guys on their side. Yep, and then I'll just connect that right there. I don't think this gets powered by touching it. It has to be powered from like the top side, or I guess whatever that side that doesn't have these little things on them, the marks. But anyway, we can go ahead and stick water right here, and we'll throw our seeds in. Now, I think the Botania magnet doesn't pick up these seeds. Yeah, they did pick up the stuff for the flux, and then that's kind of screwed me up a little bit earlier. I forgot about the magnet here. But yeah, the Britannia magnet does not pick up these seeds, which is kind of nice. It's a nice feature of that magnet. So these will grow up over time. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. We could check them. Let's actually check them. How much are they grown? All right, so they're 17, 18% complete already in almost no time at all. So they won't take very long, probably a minute or two for them to reach maturity, which is pretty awesome. Then we'll have the pure flux. All right, guys. Well, the final piece of this puzzle is we need to make ourselves our diamond circuit, right? So I went ahead and I made the inscriber. Yeah, we saw the recipe earlier. We had the pure flux, so it was easy to make. So we need to get, well, let's see. We need printed silicon, printed engineering circuit, and the diamond chipset, right? So printed silicon, pretty easy. You just put sand over here in the crusher. Yep, did that, and I had 31 of these. I went ahead and I just smashed up one of these silicon just to speed things up a little bit. All right, so then we need the diamond electron tube here plus the, which one is it, the engineering? I think it's this one. Yeah, in there, and that will make ourselves the diamond part, the printed engineering circuit. That's what it's called. Okay, then we need to put this plus the printed silicon plus the diamond chipset right there, and that should make us the diamond chipset. Engineering processor. Nice, that's what I meant. Okay, so now that we have that, we should be able to make an ME controller, I think. Nope, we can't. We have the pure flux, we have this, we need the sky stone. So, in order to get the sky stone, we saw that we had to do the Britannia portal. That is one more thing that we need to do. So in the book for Britannia, it tells you how to set that thing up. I know you need like some pylons, I know you need some mana pools, and I know you need some of the other things. Let me go ahead and just get all those parts together, and we'll just go and knock this out real quick. All right, guys. Well, I'm just in the process of finishing setting up this Elven portal. We just got to place the blocks in the right spot, not behind the right spot. Yeah, it's kind of nice. The Britannia book has this thing where you can visualize the portal, so you know exactly where the blocks need to go. No, there's no guessing involved. And I think it confirms that you, yeah, structure complete. It confirms that you have everything right when you place that last block, which is pretty nice. So I did have to make these nature pylons, and those are made from the mana pylons with some terrasteel nuggets and a mana core. I'm sorry, mana pearl. The Elven core also requires a little bit of terrasteel. Yeah, so one terrasteel ingot will make all the nuggets you need for this entire portal, which is pretty nice. So we still have one more terrasteel remaining. The last piece of this is we need to put some mana in these pools. So let's grab our wand. Is this set to, yeah, the tablet to the pool? We need a little bit of mana in this one and a little bit of mana in the other one. I'm not exactly sure how much mana we need. I don't want to drain the full thing in here. We're pretty much going to turn the portal on, get what we need, then turn it back off. Even though it states in the book you're not supposed to do that, we're really not going to be using this portal a whole lot right now, so it's just going to drain and drain and drain. And we don't really have a constant mana supply other than me throwing those blocks of coal at our endoflames over there. So anyway, let's click this. There we go. There's the portal. So now all we got to do is 2 living rock equals 1 of the sky stone. There we go. Cool. And then can we turn this thing back off? Do I just break the core? I break one of these. There we go. Portal back off. All right. Place that block. Yeah, use a decent amount of the mana, but that's fine. We don't really have a constant supply coming in, like I said, so I don't want that running all the time and wasting all of the mana. I can still recover what's left in those mana pools and put it back on this mana tablet. So we have our 4 sky stone. We just need to smelt those real quick, and that should make the smooth sky stone, or whatever that is called, the final pieces that we need to make our ME controller, which is our goal here. So let us put that through, not that, energized smelter. Sky stone block is what it's called. Cool. All right, so we got that done. All right, so we can go ahead and get rid of all of this nonsense. ME controller. This is what we need. So yeah, 4 pure flux, 4 skystone block, and our engineering processor. I put the flux away. Let's grab that real quick. And there we go. Got it. Cool. So that is pretty much the first step. Yeah, pretty much the first step to getting our applied energistics going. We're going to have to make all the other bits and pieces, the storage cells and all of that stuff. I haven't really looked at those recipes yet. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera and start making some of these different components. And hopefully next episode, we'll just be able to go and hook everything up, start dumping things from our chests into applied energistics. Yeah, and everything's going to be so much better without having all those chests around. And yeah, we'll be able to wirelessly access our items from over at our farms, and we'll run wires over there and have our farms dump directly into our EE system. Yeah, everything's going to be so much better with applied energistics in this mod pack. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to leave a like on this episode if you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.